parents, how far would you go for your children? My biggest dream in life was always for my daughter Maddie to be healthy. She was 9 and made everything brighter. She loved baking cupcakes she never finished, left glitter trails on every couch, and somehow even giggled about during her first round of chemo. So when she started looking tired again and getting bruises in weird places, I knew something was wrong. The news hit hard. Her leukemia was back, and it was worse than before. Our doctor sat across from me, trying to stay calm as she told me Maddie needed a bone marrow transplant fast. I wasn't a match. No one in the registry was either. That left us with one option. When the doctor said the words biological father, I felt like the air got sucked out of the room. I hadn't said his name in 6 years. I didn't tell people about Derek unless I had to. I left him because he nearly unalived me. He was controlling and cruel, and left me with physical and mental scars I still carry. I had panic attacks just thinking about him, but this wasn't about me anymore. Maddie was running out of time, so I reached out to Derek through his lawyer. I didn't beg. I appealed to his ego. I knew he liked to be seen as the perfect man, the successful businessman, the great father, even if he hadn't seen Maddie since she was 3. He showed up at the hospital a few days later, just as smug and polished as I remembered. Everyone was fooled. Nurses smiled at him. My friend Sarah even said he seemed so concerned, but I knew that look in his eyes. He was calculating. He agreed to get tested. He talked about how he just wanted to do right by Maddie. He even brought a giant stuffed unicorn and said he hoped they could start over. And of course, he was a match. I cried when I found out, and not just because we had a donor. I knew what he was going to do with that information. Sure enough, he started making demands. He wanted bonding time, wanted Maddie to come stay at his new place once she recovered. He talked about his private chef and indoor pool, told me maybe Maddie would be better off with him. She didn't remember him. She just saw a man who brought her presents and made her laugh, and I didn't want to poison her view of her father. I didn't want to be the bitter mom, so I set boundaries. Only visits at the hospital, only with me or a nurse present. He smiled and agreed, but then he slowly started pushing the line, asking for time alone, whispering things to Maddie that I couldn't hear. One night, I completely broke down in the doctor's office. I told her everything, the abuse, the threats, the way he isolated me. I hadn't talked about it in years. Saying it all out loud made me feel like I was splitting open. The doctor didn't judge. She listened. Then she put security on alert and connected me with a survivors group. It was the first time I felt like someone truly had my back, but Derek wasn't done. The night before the transplant, I was leaving the hospital parking garage when I saw him waiting by my car. He cornered me, said I needed to start cooperating if I didn't want things to get ugly, that he could take Maddie away from me if he wanted. I was shaking so badly I could barely hold my keys. What he didn't know was that the camera above the garage entrance caught everything. The next morning was the procedure, but he didn't show. Maddie was prepped and waiting, but Derek was nowhere to be found. I called but got no response. Hours passed. Maddie kept asking where he was and I didn't know what to say. I was scared, angry, running out of hope. But then he walked in like nothing happened. He didn't even apologize. He just handed me a folder with custody papers, said he wouldn't donate unless I signed them. I stood there with those papers in one hand and my phone in the other. I told him I'd sign. I knew signing anything outside of court wouldn't mean much legally, but I needed to get her into that operating room. I also hit record on my phone and kept it running. I got every word of his threat. The transplant went ahead. Maddie started recovering. Derek started acting like he owned the place. He told Maddie he was going to have a room built just for her, told her he'd be picking her up soon. But I had a lawyer now. I had evidence. It took a week of calls and meetings and filing emergency motions, but my lawyer pulled it together, just in time. When he showed up for his first scheduled visit, security stopped him at the door and handed him the papers. I stood behind the glass wall outside Maddie's room and watched as he lost it. He yelled. He cursed. He looked nothing like the charming man he pretended to be. Maddie heard the noise and peeked out of her room. She saw his face, saw how fast the smile disappeared. Her little hand reached for mine and she asked, "Why is Daddy so mad?" I didn't answer right away. I just held her. Later that night, after everything calmed down, she looked at me and said, "I don't want to go with him. He scared me."